Hi guys, my name is Clayton Taylor here with my brother Dylan, and this is Pursuing the Truth podcast. Now when it comes to learning and pursuing the truth, me and my brother are truly addicted. We absolutely love to learn and we always have. So in this podcast, we take a relevant topic for today's audience and see what we can learn from each other in pursuit of the truth. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the podcast. So today, Clayton and I just wanted to talk about just the whole crypto bubble and kind of explore like how this whole thing started taking off and look into why it's becoming so prevalent right now. And it seems like everyone is talking about it. So anyways, that's the conversation that we're going to have today. Sitting in Clayton's apartment right now with his dog Bella. Clayton, right off the bat, you have any thoughts about this whole crypto bubble and why it's so prevalent right now? Everyone's talking about it, why it's so big.
Yeah, so actually I have one really kind of cool fact.
Yeah.
So the most popular platform I think is Coinbase here in the US. Literally every single crypto coin on Coinbase went up 1,000% if you would have just gotten in.
In what time frame?
Either 2021 or from the IPO, basically from the start. I'm pretty
That's
sure.
crazy.
So it's absolutely insane. And since I'm a trader, like I had the privilege of watching it all unfold, but I stuck to my niche, which is stocks, and I didn't venture out. I didn't even try anything. And I'm so frustrated at myself. I probably missed the biggest opportunity of my life. But there will be more, it's just absolutely insane.
That's crazy. And I want to pick your brain because I know that you trade stocks for a living. So I'm sure that you're going to have like some good input here. But yeah, it's just so crazy because like you don't see that in the regular stock market. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was like reading some books and they say that like annually, if you invest your money in the stock market, your annual yield that you'll return is like 11.2%. So to think that 1,000% you can return in like a year or two, that's just unheard of in the regular stock market. And I think that's led to, I guess, so many people, I think especially millennials now, talking about finances. I mean, everyone you hear has like the app Robinhood, and then now this new Coinbase, and everyone's talking about all these cryptocurrencies. So it's just crazy because the spike is just so big and you don't see that in the regular stock market.
So I'll say this, not in big caps, but in small caps are kind of like cryptos. So for instance,
explain what a third cap is.
Or a small cap.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So basically you have your big caps like Tesla, Amazon, Google, all this stuff, and they're not going to go up 1,000% ever, or they might go up 1,000%, but it's not going to be like, Google just doubles tomorrow, which these small caps, you can have them at like $1, $2, $3, whatever. And then I've literally seen them go to 30. I've seen them go to 100 in like 2 days because of the hype. So honestly, with these cryptos, what ended up happening was, Bitcoin started taking over. Everybody started hearing about it. It created a lot of hype. Then in January 2021, when everybody was laid off because of COVID, everybody started getting their little stimmy checks, they all put it in Robinhood, which is the free platform. And it just exploded because of the hype, the accessibility. But anyways, like your coins and small caps kind of trade similar in the sense that they'll put out some news and get a bunch of hype behind them and then go crazy. Like back in January and February, and especially like back in COVID, things are absolutely doubling, tripling. I'd wake up one morning and this stock would be at $5. It will gap to 15 and then hit like $40 the next day. And they would all come back down.
Stocks. These aren't cryptos.
Yeah, exactly. So my whole point in saying that is like, there actually is a small niche of stocks that are crazy volatile, like the crypto coin market, and they actually will go up 1,000% or whatever. But basically it's all based off of hype.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's typically what you're trading, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. And so can you trade that like on Robinhood or other platforms? Because I know like you had to buy a special platform to trade stocks for a living that is a little bit more I guess I don't know how you would say it, like mainstream. and make sure that you can actually get in and out of stocks when you want to, essentially, right?
Yeah. So if you use order routing through Robinhood, you're pretty much going to get delayed. But I have a direct access broker, which basically boiling it down, gives you direct access to the market. So it gives you level 2 data, like a bunch of different kind of crazy stuff that you probably wouldn't need if you just had like a Robinhood account and weren't looking to invest a bit.
Because I remember you told me that when I first got it, you're like, don't get Robinhood because, you can't get in and out. And I mean, overall, I've been happy with Robinhood.
Yeah.
Because I typically don't get in and out that fast. But you had told me that at the beginning. And you remember I got in this one stock
Kodak.
for the people listening. It was Kodak. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about Kodak, but I had seen that it had went up like, I don't know, 15 or 20% in a day. And so I woke up the next morning and I just bought, I don't even remember how much. I just bought some Kodak stock and I left to go pick up a friend, came back to the house, no lie, like an hour later. And I saw that my portfolio had went from, I think it was $200 to $1,800.
Yeah.
And Kodak,
so there you go.
There's shot up from like,
there's the 800%, there's 1,000% in a day.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. And Kodak had shot up from like $12 or $13 into the 50s. And so I was like, oh my goodness. I told my friend, I was like, let me just sell this stock real quick and then we can go back to like playing games or whatever we were doing. And so I tried to sell it and Robinhood wouldn't let me. It completely froze. And so I'm sitting there watching the stock tank back down to its base like $12 price. And so, yeah, I was sitting there watching the whole entire stock tank back down. And I had already tried to sell Kodak and I couldn't. And so I watched my $1,800 drop down to $1,200, drop down to $1,000. And I think I ended up making like 100 or 200%. So maybe I think I sold it at like $27 and it was $12 originally. So I made some money off of it. But going back to what you were saying, like those platforms to be able to trade in and out really fast are really helpful, especially for stocks that explode as quickly as that one did. But like that one's the special case, but it seems like with cryptos, every single crypto is doing this.
That's definitely the black swan, but yeah. All the cryptos are doing that. It's just honestly what I witnessed in COVID-19 was a couple things that really, it's not just about stock or crypto. I mean, you have your NFTs that are going crazy. Mm-hmm. It's like,
and everyone's talking about NFTs now.
Yeah, it was electric vehicles, it was marijuana, it was a pot sector. It's going to be small business. It'll be something else, but the one thing, just like the internet bubble, the one thing that creates hype behind all these names is like it's something new, it's something innovative. And once you're talking to your neighbor and the mailman starts to know, your neighbors start to know about it, the whole world knows about it, and it gets that type of hype and momentum behind it. That's what really drives these things to skyrocket. Once CNBC picks it up and they're like, oh, look what this happened. Look what this happened. And so in COVID, it was just the perfect formula. Everybody had this free broker, Robinhood, all this hype behind the market. People were getting money. They were putting it in the market. And it's just crazy. So there's definitely a lot to learn behind not just crypto, but I mean, behind like all these bubbles and such, because there'll be more, and now we'll be a little bit more educated on how to go about trading these things or get in before,
That's another question I want to ask. Yeah. So do you think that this whole crypto thing is a bubble? Because you had mentioned like everyone was talking about all the cannabis stocks that were exploding. And then they were talking about, like cryptos and all this other stuff. Do you think that crypto is something that's just going to fade away and then there's going to be something else to take its place? Or do you think that even now it might be something to invest in for the long term?
Yeah. So I think I have a really good point about this. So get this, back in the internet, back in 2000, there was something called the internet bubble. And it's where literally, it was probably crazier than crypto because in the internet bubble, stocks would double and triple every single day, not like a week. It was absolute madness. You had people that owned a restaurant, like a mom and pop restaurant. They will be sitting in New York at the prop desk trading, like your grandmas and your uncle and aunts, because trading was so easy because of these internet stocks. Now, there are a bunch of internet stocks that ran, but out of those few, you had Google, Microsoft, your Apple, you had Yahoo Finance or whatever. They actually stayed. So out of that bubble, there was a core that actually stayed. And so crypto, blockchain, man, I really do think it's going to be an easy way for banks to be able to transport money instantly, or not even banks, but just the common person. So there's an actual use for crypto, but I definitely don't think that every crypto coin is going to stick around, but I do think a couple will. And so like you see Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is going to be one of the ones that stayed around. It's already proven itself. I mean, the thing was literally at cents and it hit 65,000, and the coins are only getting less and less. I don't think Bitcoin's going to be one that just goes away and fades. Ethereum. Now, all these other like altcoins and these coins that are trying to be like Bitcoin, maybe they fade, but I don't know.
So
that's
quick
just my
math
opinion.
for someone. Yeah, quick math for someone that's listening. There was a guy right as crypto started that there's a like iconic picture of him. You could probably Google it, but it's him, I think, with his two sons, and he's smiling, holding a box of pizza. Yes. And the caption below it says, "I spent 10,000 Bitcoin to buy this pizza," because it was pennies at the time. I think it was like in 2010, or right at the onset of Bitcoin. And so, all the comments below it are like, this guy had no clue what he was doing. Because you fast forward now, the average price it sits at is $40,000. And so that pizza that he spent 10,000 Bitcoin on is now worth, those Bitcoin, those 10,000 Bitcoin would now be worth $400 million. And he dropped it on one, large pepperoni pizza. And the guy's just as happy as he could ever be.
Okay, DDD, I pulled this up.
Who would know? Who would have thought that?
I pulled this up. Get this, okay? May 22nd. May 22nd is known as Bitcoin Pizza Day, making the 11th anniversary date, where in 2010, a Florida man, Laszlo Hanyezix or something like that, paid for 2 pizzas with cryptocurrency. It's actually a day. So Bitcoin Pizza Day is May 22.
Yeah, so if you guys, whoever's listening, look up that picture. You probably, what'd you type in to find that, Clayton?
Bitcoin Pizza Day.
Okay, yeah.
The first thing that popped up.
Bitcoin Pizza Day, and you'll see this. I mean, the guy's so happy. He's elated. But, the reason I brought that up is like, who would have known? Like, these penny cryptocurrencies that no one even understood at the time, and it's seen waves. Like right now, it's at one of its higher waves. Bitcoin is. At one point, it went up to $20,000 a couple years ago. Then it tanked back down to $3,000. Now it's shot up to 60,000, and it's coming down a little bit to 40,000. But like this type of movement, no one sees, and so it's amazing. And I think that's another reason why I feel like everyone's talking about it, because it seemed like in the 80s or the 90s, no one talked about investing. That was kind of something that you would imagine like men in business suits, and no one really even understood it. And now everyone's got, like we mentioned, Coinbase, Robinhood on their apps. They're trading every day. I know when I went to college, I thought I was like the only one that was interested in stocks. And like 70 guys in the hall, out of the 70 guys, probably 50 or 60 of them had Robinhood apps and could talk stocks with me and like understood like some basic stuff about stocks. So it's crazy how like everything has shifted. And I think part of it is just due to like the volatility of all this Coinbase stuff, that it's just exciting now,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just so crazy. Back, like you said, back in the day, most people couldn't trade just off of their phones. They've made it so accessible that you can literally go and buy and sell something this very second. I mean, of course it has to be market hours, but yeah, they've made it so common for the common man. It's just
so now, I guess, how is that for someone like you that trades stock every day? Because, back in the 1980s, you're only having the professionals, probably a small portion of the population trading stocks. So those stocks aren't getting manipulated that much. But
yeah,
like, I guess you wouldn't know how it was back in the 80s or the 90s, but
I wouldn't know, but I've heard
insight
from my friends.
Okay, yeah. Do you have any insight to, like, nowadays, one social media post from Elon Musk can make, Tesla stock shoot up $100 in a day because everyone sees the post and then everyone just goes and buys or sells. So do you have any insight to, like, how that
Tank when he was on the Joe Rogan show smoking weed?
That's right. Yeah. He did that.
Yeah, I was just watching that the other day. But yeah, so to your point, like, I do know traders that I've talked to that have been in the game for a while, back in the 2000s, and even like 2007, 2005, 10, whatever. Trading was so much simpler because it was just kind of straightforward.
Would you say it was easier to make money?
Oh, for sure.
Is that what you mean by simpler?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's gotten to the point now where, since we've had all this hype from COVID-19 and about March of 2021, everything changed. And what ended up happening was the big boys from the big caps got into small caps. So the guys who were, Goldman Sachs Bank, Citibank, all these big banks with this, massive type of money that were pushing, like, your Teslas, Amazon, Googles, all the big caps, they got into small caps. And they've created algorithms that are really intense. So, for instance, there was a stock the other day, DYIA, and it was just crazy. We couldn't figure out why this thing was so erratic, why the price action was so weird, and out of the blue at like 12 o'clock, it just snaps and gives it all back. And so what we're finding is that because of all this type of hype and mania, the big boys are now playing in our sector, and they're really manipulating these things. So, like, once the algo's made enough money, or once it's done, they'll just let it go and they'll sell into all the pressure. It's just crazy. It's made everything really tough. You can't watch tape anymore. Just a lot of different things,
So for those that don't know, because you've explained to me what watching the tape is, tell them what you mean by that.
So, like, watching the tape on my platform, there's something called level 2, which is basically buyers and sellers reacting to each other. And then the tape is every single order, which is going through.
It says orders being filled, right?
Yeah, orders being filled at a very, very, very fast pace. So you're going to see a lot of red prints, a lot of green prints. But basically, you can read, or you used to be able to read those prints and determine where the stock was going to go. Almost, if you were in the OTC land, sometimes almost to the penny, and these things would turn. That's how predictable it would be. But now that these algos are in it, they make it virtually impossible to read. I don't even have tape on my charts anymore. And a lot of the best traders that I know now, they don't even watch it. So anyways, in me saying all that, it has created some good opportunities, all the hype, a lot of new stocks are popping up every day, but also it's made it, a bit more manipulated.
And so, yeah, that just sounds like, I don't know, with a lot of stuff, there's a big hype at the beginning. Like, I think the first example I'm thinking of is YouTube. So there's like a big hype, and then there's a lot of big name players at the beginning, and then everyone kind of dumps into it and kind of saturates the market.
Yeah.
So is that kind of what's happening with, like, the profession of stock trading now, where at one point it was like this almost like get rich quick scheme, but it really worked. And then now everyone's jumping into it, and it's just making it harder. Still possible, but harder.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Also, another good point, or another thing that I kind of wanted to note on, was like after we've watched all these sectors run, how can we get in on the next one? I think we should talk about that, you know?
Oh, that's good because if we rewound, to our pizza day, we would all have $400 million sitting in the bank if we held on to it.
Exactly. So, and I'm just, and I personally, since I trade, I watch all this stuff unfold on a daily, and I didn't capitalize on it, and I'm frustrated, but I've also learned a lot, and so just going back and looking at history, have you ever heard of the tulip mania?
The toilet mania?
The tulip mania.
The tulip mania.
The flowers. No. You've never heard of that.
No,
okay.
No.
So get this. Just like Bitcoin is today, there was the tulip mania. And
is this a stock or like?
No, it was legit flowers that people would trade. And
this is like not even talking about the stock market. It's talking about like physical flowers that people are buying.
Yeah, no, this is basically I'm just talking about like market sectors and what's hot at the certain times and whatever.
I gotcha.
So they would trade tulip money tulip
money.
They would trade tulips for actual money. And so the tulips were like a stock. Now, if you would have gotten in early and just forgot, all your rationale and just went with it, you would have made money in the tulip mania. Internet stocks, if you sit on the sidelines and like, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, yada, 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 you probably didn't make any money in the internet bubble. Yes, it was a bubble, but there's still money to be made. Same thing in cryptocurrency. Everybody, including myself, who's sitting on the sidelines, like, I don't know about this. This isn't a good investment. You probably stop looking for the solid rationale and is it good or not, and look for the hype.
Yeah,
that's what I think I'm going to do next time. Because do you remember Dogecoin? I did some extensive research in Dogecoin. Okay. And I remember telling you, I'm like, D, when this thing comes down to 5 cents, we're going to buy some. Yep. And we were like, yeah, definitely, we're going to get some. And I started doing some more research, and I was like, you know what? There's an unlimited supply of coins, which for those of you who don't know, like if you have an unlimited amount of anything, it's basically worthless.
Yeah, it just goes back to that supply and demand, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was doing my research, and I'm like, oh, this thing, it's not going to go far. I literally had a conversation with the dude installing my internet about Dogecoin. That's how popular it was. So the hype was there. And sure enough, it goes to 75 cents. I'm not in it.
Wow, it went to 75 cents. I didn't even realize that.
75 cents. Yeah, exactly. More than 1,000%. And that thing had an unlimited. Wow. So I think next time in getting in anything, I'm not going to look for the solid rationale, but probably just the hype that follows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think we need to preface this, like, we're not financial advisors. So we're just talking about, our opinions. So don't hold this as like factual advice that we recommend to everybody. But no, you had even mentioned, you said that when Bitcoin was at $20,000, you said if it comes back down to below 10, you're going to get in it. And I was like, I think I am too. And we watched it dip down to $3,000 and never really had the guts to just say, you know what, I'm going to, drop $3,000, or even we could have done fractions at that point, and we never did. And then it was quiet for like almost a year, and it would have little peaks to go up to 9,000. Then this year it jumps up to 60,000. Can you imagine if we were to jump in it, even at the 10,000, like if we had even $1,000 in it, just a fraction, like we would have had 6 times return if we would have held on to it till its highest.
For sure.
So I think I need to make sure that if we're following the hype, that's another thing with stocks is like, whenever I trade stocks, I try to just tell myself, this is money that I've already lost. Because if it's money that you need to pay your rent, or money that you need to pay your bills, and you're investing in the stock market, it's a risky game, So if it's already marked up as something that you've already lost or something that you don't need, then you can invest it and like just watch your money grow, or in the bad cases disappear. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, if it's something, if you got your house on the line, you're going to be an emotional wreck and
yep.
you're going to make bad decisions. Like I know some people actually have put their houses on the line. But anyways,
Man.
yeah, isn't that crazy? I know of a couple traders that put their houses and stuff on the line when GME and AMC were running, and they were posting every day, and they're up millions, and then they're down millions, and they end up losing it all and owing their brokers. It's absolutely terrible. So
they lost the houses. They were
lost the house,
mainstream of
lost
business.
the car, everything, dude, everything.
Man.
So it's just crazy. Definitely only do an amount that you're willing to lose. That way you have no emotions, clear trade decisions, all that said. But yeah, for sure.
Man,
I agree with you.
It's horrible to lose a house because
can you believe
one
that?
other thing that I wouldn't have known unless you had told me because you trade stocks is like you have to have a base amount if you want to be a stock trader to trade with full time. And so if you lose everything, you lose your job as well. Like you have to go back to work a 9 to 5 or whatever it is to make the money to start trading with to get your trading job back. So that's horrible.
It can be bad. You know how bad it was? So back in 2000s, in the internet bubble, where, like I said, mom and pops who were owning their restaurants were sitting at the desk in New York trading stocks. When the real market came back and where real trading came back and it wasn't easy and they started to lose everything, so many people lost their houses and so many people lost money that they made this rule called PDT, pattern day trader rule. And now you have to have a minimum balance of $25,000 in your account to trade every single day.
So if you go under, if let's say you're trading with $26,000 and you lose $2,000, you can't trade anymore until you find another way to make that $1,000 back, right?
Well, you can trade, but it's only 3 trades within a 5 business day rolling period. So
you're very limited as a trader if you go below that.
Exactly. Because of the 2000 market crash and when everybody lost so much money, they were like, look, this is a dangerous game and people have been gambling way too much. We got to limit this somehow, because it's probably going to be bad for the economy with all these like quote unquote, degenerate gamblers out here, these people couldn't control themselves. So, that rule came into play. It's just unfortunate, but I guess it does, limit exposure for some of the average common people or just whatever,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I wanted to go in one more direction. Yeah. And I know we were talking about cryptocurrencies. And it's kind of funny, we're talking about investing cryptocurrencies, but the whole purpose of cryptocurrencies is to have basically essentially a universal currency.
Yeah.
One that's not held by a centralized bank, I think is what you hear a lot. One that you can send from America to China in seconds and not have to pay transfer fees or have your money changed in any way or go through a middleman. So I feel like a lot of people are talking about cryptos in the sense of trading them because their value is going up. But no one that I know of really uses cryptos right now. And I think that we're still a long way away from, walking into a Walmart and paying for something in Bitcoin. Do you see us ever getting to that point or in the next couple years ever getting to where, the US dollar or the euro or the yen just kind of fades away from physical currency and goes into this virtual crypto world?
Man, I could see it. I could see it because, I'm Christian, we're Christians. So the one world currency, and that's
something that the Bible talks about.
Yeah, this is absolutely the perfect thing. I heard this one term, and I'm going to botch this up so bad. So my apologies already, but I was listening to a TED Talks guy and he was talking about this family that lived in the Philippines. And then, her daughter and her daughter's family lived in America. and they would send back their American wages because the conversion rate was just, through the roof. Mm-hmm. And they would kind of she would provide for her mother basically with her wages. Yep. But in order to do that, she would have to go to I forget what it's called, a Western Union. And she would have to transfer her money from American dollars to Filipino, whatever their currency is over there. And that would be a fee. To do the Western Union, it would be a fee. They would charge percentages. Like, it's crazy. And then you have Bitcoin, where literally the same exact day, she sends a Bitcoin to one man, and the man who accepts the Bitcoin in the Philippine city literally converts it, takes cash to the mother's house, and gives her cash within like 5 hours.
Yep.
And they're in like some third world country. This isn't like, send it to New York. That's why it even took 5 hours, know, which opposed to like a week or so, and to have certain people verify it. So, I mean, crypto definitely has its uses. And also the whole thing with the decentralized banking system is basically the banks act as the middleman. So when you transfer something from like Japanese yen to American dollar, you have to go through a bank. Well, what if the whole world did without the middleman, the banks? And that's what they want to do. So, man,
you see banks popping up. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sorry.
You see banks popping up all the time.
Yep.
And you know me. I don't love banks.
You never have.
No. I keep my money in the bank now, because I understand it's a little bit safer. But growing up, there was a hole in my wall, and I would just shove all my cash in the hole in the wall.
Guys, he's literally not even joking. He's absolutely not joking.
I don't like the ideas of banks. Kind of just going back to what you're saying, they're the middleman. And, I always like to think how my money can grow, how I can do something with my money. And, when we were growing up, our mom opened up a savings account for us, and we were getting 5% return per year in our savings account. Yeah. Like, that's mind blowing. That is an incentive to put money in the bank. And I'm all for that. But I think when we were like 14 or 15, I was starting to check like the interest rates, because it was not at 5% anymore. And when I found out that my bank and a lot of banks, in Virginia where we live, and, I guess throughout the country, the average savings percent was 0.05%. That's not even 0.05 like decimal places. That's 0.05%, which is 0.0005 in decimal places, is the annual yield that you'll get by putting your money in the bank.
Yeah.
Which is like nothing. And so at that point, I was like, there's really no reason to have my money in the bank. They're just serving as the middleman. And then they, as the large corporation, can go in and take my money and other people's money and loan it out to new people. And then they get interest on it. So I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a rant here. But I say all that to say that, no, you're right. Banks are the middleman, and cryptos are just cutting that out. And you see a lot of times, almost like, if you notice, loan companies, they'll have their businesses set up in very rural or poor areas, because unfortunately those people don't have money, and the loan sharks can take advantage of that. And you see banks popping up in a lot of the same places, and even in some nicer cities and neighborhoods, for the same reason, because there's just so much money in it right now. And I think cryptos, like you said, are cutting out that middleman, and it's better for both parties. Obviously not better for the banks, but right. Yeah. And I was actually, that story that you said about the Filipino family, on Coinbase, you can get some free apps. And this is not sponsored by Coinbase, by the way, but every once in a while, I'll go through and read about a stock or cryptocurrency, and then they'll give me $2 or $3 worth of it. And that was actually one of the stories that I was reading about. I couldn't tell you the crypto right off the top of my head. But that's what they were saying, is that with this specific cryptocurrency, in seconds, it can go from your American pocket to your family in China or the Philippines and pay no transaction fees. Doesn't take a week to process, and you don't have to pay the middleman for it. So I can see the benefits, but I don't see a step-by-step plan of how small businesses, mom and pop shops are going to start, I guess, accepting it more.
Yeah.
Because still, I mean, even if I walk to the biggest chain like Walmart or some other shop is really popular around here, like they're not going to take Bitcoin. They're not going to take any type of cryptocurrency. And those are like big chain, nationwide, worldwide stores. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I think there's still a ways to go, but
yeah,
I think we're definitely going to get there at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just, in the future, I guess we'll see for sure. But yeah, man, this just gets me fired up talking about this.
I know. I definitely learned a lot today.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I was just gonna say, like, going forward, I think I just got to start looking for the hype in these things and not how much sense it makes. But yeah, we're kind of running out of time now. Do you got any last thoughts or anything you want to wrap it up? Or
yeah, I don't have any last thoughts, but appreciate you guys listening, tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening, guys.